Okay folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the build series of the Tamiya F4U Corsair. So in the last part we sort of dealt with the cockpit and that sort of stuff. That's all done now. So what we have done is we've mated the fuselage halves together, cockpit's all installed, we've dealt with the seams so far. I haven't put a test spray on the seams yet, but I think they'll be okay. So we've dealt with those. So the fuselage is together, perfect fit, typical to me, and no issues whatsoever. So that's done. So in this particular video we're going to look at the engine. So the Corsair is a radial engine. So in the kit you essentially, for the engine, get, let's move the cowling out of the way. So you get these four parts. So you get the back plate here, you get this bit that just slots on, and then we get the front of the radial engine that fits on there, and then we get this bit that goes right in the center there, like so. So if we look at the instructions, so this is step 2. So we've got obviously the back plate here, the engine itself, a poly cap, which obviously the propeller is going to slide into, this section at the front here in the center, and then that all slots into the engine cowling. Now you can have it either closed or open, the cowling flaps. We're going to go for the closed version, and then the engine cowling itself. So what you don't get is any wiring detail on the engine. Now if I place this inside the engine cowling, because it will push right up against the front, you're not going to see a great deal, but what you can see is that I've started to add just some basic wiring detail. So I found this reference picture which will show up now, which shows this kind of wiring detail. So the idea being, you're not going to see much of it, but you are going to see some. So we just want a representation of the wiring, really. So using some copper wire, so this is 0.5mm copper wire. I've just cut it into sort of 1.5 cm, 2 cm lengths. And then if you look on the engine here, I've drilled some holes, which are 0.5mm holes. So I've done these ones. So essentially just threading it through the hole, bending it into shape, and then once it's all painted, we'll have some sort of representation of some wiring on the engine. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm just going to show you one and how I do it. So pair of tweezers, oh, what's that, with the copper wire, and we're just going to push it through the hole that I drilled, flicking out the tweezers, sadly. So unfortunately that hole's not gone all the way through, so get my drill bit in a pin vise, and we just make sure that that hole is all the way through, like so. And then you can drill it from the other side as well, just to make sure it's nice and straight. Get your copper wire and essentially just thread that through. Now we're going to bend it at the back, because where we want it to hit or finish is just on the edge of this circle here, because once the centerpiece is on the reference picture, we can see this actually goes into that centerpiece, these wires, but it doesn't allow us with the kit, there's not enough space on that centerpiece. So use your tweezers and just kind of bend it into shape. We're not using any glue, that'll hold it there. And then on the rear, because we still want this to be able to sit flush, we're just gonna cut that wire, and then either using a cocktail stick or whatever, this is a super glue applicator, but it just allows us to push that into that gap, and that will hold it firmly in place, he says. So just push it firmly into place. Now this isn't an accurate wire, it isn't an accurate depiction of it, it's just a visual representation which just adds a little bit of detail to that engine and that's exactly what we're after. So I'll do the last 3 off camera, and then we'll get the engine assembled as much as we need to. We're going to kind of go on the colors off the reference picture really. So we'll come back. I'm going to prime it all in UMP black primer, and then we'll decide on some colors for the actual engine itself. So I'll see you very shortly. Here we go then. So painted, very, very simple. So you said really have to excuse my fingers now, I'm covered in paint. So we added obviously the copper wire, and we've picked out the copper wire and the push rods in a model color just flat black and model color German gray, and we painted the metallics in Tamiya LP11. That's the rear part of the engine there, with the plate. Plate is just UMP black primer, and then LP11 over UMP black primer. So this fits on. You can see we've got this locating hole here and this locating tab here, and it's such a good fit. It's a push fit essentially, and because we trim those wires, we've got no real interference with that part of the rear there. So yeah, that works really well. And then the center bit here, so again we sprayed LP11 over UMP black primer. We then picked out that center bit to try and get as close as we can to the reference picture really, with Citadel Thunderhawk blue. That was just brush painted on, and then we picked out the bits at the top there with Vallejo model color German gray. And again, we've got this locating point here and on this piece, and again that just slots on like so, but we need to put the poly cap in there, etc. And that will be the engine. So all that I'm going to do on that is put a coat of Norn oil on it just to dirty it up a little bit, and the engine's pretty much done. So now we need to move on to the engine cowling. So what we want to try and do is paint the inside of this cowling really. That's the first thing we need to do. We're going to have the cowling flaps closed because this aircraft's going to be sort of powered down, sat on the deck. So we're going to have these closed, but you can see we've got this panel line running around the outside, right at the front of the cowling. So you can see I've measured that, it's 6mm, and I've marked that with a Sharpie inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the first bit, so the bit that you will see is in white, and then the rest of it in the interior green, or zinc oxide primer, I think it is for this bit. So the plan will be to get the white down and then try and mask the inside of it up until that line, so that we're pretty much level with this panel line at the front, and then mask it off and paint the interior green. And then once that's done, let's take that off because that will fall off, the engine will just locate inside, ready for the propeller, which we'll move on to once we've done the engine cowling. So I'm going to get all that primed on the inside and get the white down, and then we'll come back and we'll mask that off, show you how to do that, and then we'll get all this together, sprayed up on the interior. And I think what we may do at the same time is spray this yellow, because if we're masking the interior here, then it would make sense while it's off the aircraft to spray that yellow. So we'll do that as well. So yeah, that's it. I will see you very shortly. So engine, the main engine is done. That's had the wash on it, and that's accentuated a lot of the detail and stuff, dirtied it up just enough. So that's all done. That's all assembled and glued now with the poly cap inside. And then we have the cowling itself. So initially you can see inside there, it's not very neat, but it doesn't need to be. So we masked off the interior, and then we sprayed the white around the interior of the cowling and also the exterior around where it's going to be yellow. Then we sprayed off chromate green, on the interior there, which is fine. We did the same on the engine flaps here. So essentially this just needs gluing now. So this slots into place. There's a locating tab just there. That just fits. Look at this state of me. I should wear gloves really when I'm spraying, but no, I wear gloves all day at work. And then that just pushes in there. So that's essentially a push fit. So what we'll do when we come to spray the main aircraft, we can see the white there. When we come to spray the blue, we will just mask off the yellow. But the yellow's done, and I think it was easier doing it that way than not. So that's the engine and the cowling. What we've also been doing while that's been drying and stuff is we've done our propeller. So propeller is one piece in the kit. We primed it in UMP black primer, which will be the base color, and then we masked off the propeller tips and sprayed those in exactly the same way as we did the cowling. So we put some UMP white primer on them, and then some XF3 flat yellow to get the propeller done. Now, all being equal, that should just slot into the polycap inside there, if we've got the polycap in the right position, which we have. So we've essentially got our cowling, propeller and everything done. I just need to remove the masking, and I will just run a bead of extra thin around this cowling here just to keep it all secure. But that's done, and that can go on pretty much, I wouldn't say at the end, but certainly when we're spraying the blue and stuff, which allows us to mask all this off very, very accurately. So yeah, so that's it guys. The engine and propeller are done. Next part, I think what we'll move on to is like the wings, the flaps, all that sort of stuff. The fuselage, as you've seen, is together now. We just need to spray check these seams and stuff, make sure they're okay. But it's all together, lovely fit. And as we can see, the cowling or the engine cowling will just fit on the front like that and give it that Corsair look. So yeah, next we're gonna get the wing. Certainly the wing roots we're gonna get on. We are gonna go wings folded on this, but yeah, it's looking lovely. It is looking really, really nice. So yeah, quite happy thus far. So come back next time for the wings, flaps and all that sort of stuff, and we'll mess around with the wing fold and all that good stuff. If you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe. Go and visit umpretail.com, and until next time guys, stay safe, happy hobby, bye bye.